Let's see.
I just heard a line a young brother use, it knocked my head back.
What's that?
He said, why would we want supremacy when we're already sacred? He said, that's who we are. We're sacred people.
So in other words, why would we want to take over?
Yeah, we don't need, that's never been our desire.
Exactly.
That's their desire. Is supremacy excludes everybody else. He said,
Right.
we've never had that desire. We're sacred. That's far better than having even that pursuit.
That's only white people. They were all
Of course,
Yes,
man.
they,
They're
yeah, they,
fucking
as they
virus.
say, they colonize. They try to take over wherever they go. So
Yeah, their culture is violence.
Yeah.
That really is their
Yes,
culture.
exactly.
They're gonna talk about culture. It's like, dude,
barbarian.
okay, let me think about it. Yep, it's barbarism. That's what you all know how to do is kill and take over. What you say, colonize. That's a euphemism.
yeah.
So at that point, you'd agree that violence was introduced by Europeans.
Oh man, please, dude. Yes, absolutely. When you come out of caves, that kind of
Right.
that's going to be your way of activity. So to
And
speak.
that is survival. Do you think that's a survival mode? Because if you came out of the cave, wouldn't that make you a caveman?
Well, when you know you're inferior, you're going to
That
try and
causes
flip
fear.
it. Yeah, you're going to try and flip. You're going to project what you know about yourself on others.
Exactly.
And they know biologically, I mean, intellectually, inherently, we are superior. I mean, we carry melanin. I mean,
so that by you knowing it,
what you say?
I said by you knowing that,
Right.
So basically, what they said, you don't give a damn.
No, I really, in fact, I've learned not to just believe anything. Yeah, I've learned that my education, especially in junior high and high school, was a bunch of bullshit. I mean, really.
You just taught one side of it until you got older and learned how to find the other side.
When I started buying my own books, and my uncle's schooling, because my uncle was super, they called militant. He was just informed.
You said militant?
Yeah, they called him militant, but he was just informed. And he would just call me, tell me, my name in my family, I'm Greg. My middle name's Gregory. And he'd be like, Greg, stop reading that bullshit. You need to be reading these books. And that's when I started collecting books, and really reading our brothers, the black men who wrote about us, about what we've really done. They accounted their efforts as opposed to someone who's written it. We've done nothing. You think about this, when we were watching Tarzan, we really
Tarzan
believed
wasn't
that was the extent of Africa.
The white Tarzan.
Tarzan wasn't white.
No, I'm talking about when we were watching those
The
shows.
black and white show. Yeah.
We really thought that Jujus were the extent of Africa. All black men in Africa were buck wild like that. We were literally cheering for them to die. I remember that. They were
You talking about the
Jujus.
Bushmen?
Yeah, the Bushmen, but I'm talking about the way they portrayed them in the movie. I mean, in the show.
Show.
You weren't cheering for them. You were cheering for Tarzan.
For
We were literally cheering for a white man in a diaper.
That's crazy.
Man, I think about the propaganda that we suffered as young adults, children in particular, with Superman, Lone Ranger. Tarzan has got to be, the top one in terms of us literally cheering for our own demise.
Yeah.
At the bequest of a white man. I've always found that.
So you can say,
Hold on.
not to flip it, so would you say the same thing about Tonto?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in fact, it was wild because Tonto is like a derogatory name in its real meaning. I learned that it means something. I think it's really negative. I forgot exactly what it was, but yeah, it's not. It's like an insult, and yet they use that purposely.
Tonto.
Yeah, Tonto.
Man, y'all dropping some gems. Y'all want to get this on? Let's get this on film, man.
Yeah, we ain't did the intro yet, but we finna do the intro now.
Sure.
Chris don't know how to stop. He'll keep on asking
keep on
questions.
rolling.
No, that's cool, man.
Oh, now it was my fault. My bad.
But listen, we've been Yeah, this been so he already dropping gems, man. So
just-
welcome back to the Universal Thought Podcast, man, where we share universal thoughts, ideas, concepts, philosophies.
Absolutely.
We have all around great conversations with some great people. Big Dre, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Jim? How y'all doing today, man? Everybody good?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Slick, what it do?
In the building.
Yes, sir.
I can't call it, I might spoil it.
Hey, man, listen. Today's actually a special day, man. Not only do we have a special guest in the house, man, you came on our 100th episode.
Oh wait,
Yes,
really?
sir.
Oh,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir.
I feel quite honored.
Yes, sir. So this is gonna be a good one, man. So Lonnie actually, I met Lonnie at a gathering we had for Will Richardson, that's running for District 8. And you know, in that setting, man, you know, I just kind of like to sit back and, you know, let everybody kind of do their thing, man. And I went outside to smoke a cigar, and he came out like he said he had so much energy about himself, man. I'm talking about he was just talking to everybody. He was just on, you know, like he was more down to earth. If that makes sense. And man, we got outside and we probably got to talk about a good hour and a half.
Man,
something
like
like that.
just standing there rapping, man. Yeah.
Man, I'm talking about, man, this man dropped a whole lot of gems. This man has a lot of experience in history and traveling, and it just all around well-rounded experiences overall. So I wanted him to come today, you know, share, you know, some wealth and wisdom with us. You know what I'm saying? And welcome to the show, man.
Man, appreciate it.
Show, man.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Brother,
sir.
Good to have you, brother.
Oh, man, definitely.
Yes,
I'm just a native Memphian, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I claim Memphis. I claim South Memphis. 38126.
326, yes, sir.
But I've been blessed. In the Bible, it says your talent will make room for you.
Right.
Your gifts will make room for you. Mine have made room for me.
And I know that's right. So you are, man, I went in there and he told me he was an artist. Now he's talking about his work, but he said, hey man, I did that right there. It's a big ass picture of Prince,
And then
Michael Jackson. I'm talking about flawless. I said, hey, I took a picture of it. I'm gonna show it when I edit it. But I said, nah, I see what level you on now, man. So how long you been, how did you actually start your art, you know, career and your background?
My older brother, Michael, started drawing. And you know, as a kid, you see one thing, you want to try it too. And so Mike was about 7, I was 5. And I could just draw. I mean, it was no effort I had to give. And it made Mike quit.
You were so good, you made him quit.
Like, just like, dog, you got it, Greg. And it was while my mom didn't really know that I could draw that well. She learned through a surprise. She got home, I got my drawings on the floor. She's thinking that they're Michael's. She made me put them up. So those are Michael's, you shouldn't have his drawings. And he gets home and let her know they're mine. And I mean, she really just in complete disbelief as to the fact that I could draw that well. And so she asked me to draw her. And that was what I could do as a young kid that would be considered exceptional, was I could really capture your likeness. I could really make it look like you. And so that became really kind of my focus first as an artist, is doing portraits. Right. I was doing a lot of family members and things like that, but that was the catalyst, so to speak.
Do you do abstract or just like you go from either or how you?
I mean, back then, I mean, it was kind of limited to the pencil and crayon, things like that. But I could still capture your likeness. I could literally draw you looking like you did. It may have had some proportional differences because I was still learning. Yeah. But the likeness was still there. Yeah. So it was different for a kid my age. Yeah. So
he not the type to do like I guess he was asking like abstract where people just like create art or you bring stuff to life.
I go from one range to the other in terms of my body of work and materials too. Because like I mentioned, I work in stained glass. I was in the Dixon's art show 2024. I had 5 black ballerinas that were done on old oxidized sheet metal that a guy had stripped from a building. And he had gone to a show of mine earlier where he saw I worked in different materials. And So I wanted to do something. I'll tell you, I saw how the weather aged the material, the sheet metal, and what the sheet metal had gone through for 50-something years. And I compared that to what black ballerinas go through being black ballerinas in the dance industry. Because I dated a ballerina, black ballerina from Memphis. She danced for Ballet Memphis.
Here we go.
Over 30 years ago. just over 30 years ago. And Lisa used to complain to me about what she was dealing with racially with the team. And that was back then, and then maybe 2.5 years ago, I was watching an interview with Misty Copeland. And what Misty was saying was identical to what Lisa had said 30 years prior, which let me know that this was the general experience for a number of black ballerinas. So I did this series to give them their flowers, you know, to pay tribute to them. And in the pieces, you have the steel. I used metal paints so that it really contrasted with the steel. And then I took material flowers. I mean, these are literal flowers that I composed on them. So it looked like he was throwing the flowers at them. Right. And they premiered really well at the Dixon last year. They got a lot of love. I've sold 3 cents from the collection. But I just wanted to pay homage to these sisters, man. Yeah. But, you know, and Misty just retired, so it was a way of paying homage to her without her knowing about it, but still.
Right.
Just want to give it up to these sisters. But on my art, I let it take me to different places so that I can start all over again. You know, I'm not afraid. For me, the best artists were the ones who had different periods of their work, where it evolved.
You could see it evolve.
You see the evolution, yeah, man. So
I wish I would have seen mine, because I was a drawing mode. I was
you told me, man.
Yeah,
You
man,
were
I
an
was cold.
artist.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I could draw you. I could draw. I drew myself.
Right.
I actually I won second place in a contest that we had at my elementary school. So mind you, this kindergarten and 6th grade. I'm in the 1st grade.
Right.
And we had to draw this emergency, like it was an emergency month or something like that. So I drew a guy about to jump off a building.
Right.
And it was on a big canvas, on a big poster board, and I won 2nd place.
Right.
But they didn't. They had me draw another one, and I drew something else. They were like, "Ain't no way you draw this." So my teacher made me stay after school so she could see me draw.
You do it, right?
Yeah, because she didn't believe.
She didn't believe, right.
Man,
yeah, that's kind of like my
this
family. My younger brother used to tell my mom I used to let a team of people in at night to do the work.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not what's going on.
Nah,
but I tell you this, one of the main reasons why I never quit is my mom.
Yeah.
She when she saw that I had a gift, she underwrote it. I mean, she started buying me art supplies. She literally told me when she really learned, she's like, look, you have a gift. It's not just a gift, it's a responsibility. You have to develop it. I mean, you're good now, but you're not where you can be, so you really have to develop it, meaning it's gonna take discipline. You're gonna hate it sometimes, but you still gonna do it. And I thought about quitting. I remember telling my mom when I was like in the 8th grade, I was gonna quit. And she was like, okay, go get the belt. I mean,
motivation.
Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, she's like, if you're gonna quit, there are consequences. I've already invested quite a bit in you in this, you know, so I was like, nah, I'm good.
You think that's kind of part of the reason why you did continue?
Well,
Do you think that worked?
to know that she was that adamant about me staying in it, yeah, I mean, discipline motivates you, but it let me know more than anything that, you know, she saw it as something special. When your parents see you doing something, you want to do it, man. You know, so
make 'em proud.
all I wanted to do now, man, was just really accomplishing it. And I mean, I think I tell you, I'm nocturnal, so I would wait until they would go to sleep at night, and I would start drawing. I mean, sometimes I'd start at like 11 o'clock. I would draw and paint sometimes at 2 in the morning, and think that my mom didn't know about it. For years, I thought she did. She said, Greg, I knew you were doing that. She said, I knew that you got up in the morning and went to school. She said, so I figured if he can do that and still get up, she said, you good? Yeah.
So I got a question. When you drawing portraits, what feature do you focus on to actually bring that portrait to life, to make it more real?
Really, I start really with the nose. you know, and I kind of work my way out from that. But I do a general sketch just to place size and proportion and things like that. But I start with the nose and I break out. Your eyes, for me, determine
I've heard that.
whether or not that likeness is striking. And for me, the likeness determines the success of it. I was in DC with my son. He was about 8 or 9 years old. And we went to the King Memorial. And he got to see the statue for the first time. And then he looked at it, and I swear, this is what he says, "That's a really nice statue. Who is it?" I was like, "You wrong for that." He knew it was, but his whole thing was that it didn't really look like him to him, the likeness of it, you know. And, you know, that statue went through some variations because it was very Mongolian looking for a while, and a panel of people, yeah, the artist had to go back to the drawing table and really make it look more like Dr. King. It was an Asian artist, and so those Mongolian features are there because of the nature of that artist. So, for me, it's a great sculpture. It's his interpretation of Dr. King. So I give it that respect, and it was done beautifully. But for me personally, likeness, I won't call it a failure. I didn't consider the likeness striking. You know, it could have been a lot better for me personally. But for me, the most successful thing about that memorial, have you seen it? Have you been
DC?
In DC, yeah. Is his quotes that are on the wall. Down by the Potomac, that whole area.
You talking about the African,
no, the King Memorial.
Martin Luther King.
I didn't go to that one.
Yeah,
I
man,
went
they
to the
have
Smithsonian and the other one.
Yeah.
The African.
But down at the memorial, there are huge quotes of his that are on the wall. I mean, it's a huge area where they did the memorial, and those quotes, his words, are profound.
Right.
And to see them inscribed right there on the wall, yeah, that's Grant and I were more impressed with that than we were the sculpture.
Yeah.
We really were.
Because those are his actual words.
My daughter, I'm listening to you, and I've talked to her. She said the exact same thing.
Did she? Yeah.
She's an artist. She's been doing it for so long. She sells her, she does her paintings for her college. She's in college now.
Okay, great.
She's in college for computer graphics, but she loved to sit up, like, she would be up in the middle of the night painting, and then still go to school now, the next day. And we knew about it, so her mom asked her the same thing, like, so we invested into it, because that's
right, man.
And she's 24 now.
Right,
She's been doing it ever since she was about 12.
She never quits. Yeah,
she
man.
loves Andre, yes.
Yeah.
And Andre sells, like, she'll send me. She does everything. Like, I'm like listening to him. I'm like listening to Andre.
Yeah, it brings her a
It's
lot
her
of
passion.
joy.
Yeah.
It brings you a lot of joy.
She said when she does it at nighttime, it just clears her mind.
Yep.
And she be in another world.
Yep.
And I've seen some of her work, and Andre, it's like, you did this. Like, it's almost like you can't believe that. Andre is great, man.
You said she works at night.
Left-handed thing.
I'm left-handed. I don't know so much that I'll say this. It's a perspective for sure. Like, cause I shoot pool, right? Oh man, it's
been pool buddies now.
We can shoot. I don't play poker. I mean, I play blackjack. I play a little blackjack, but I don't know Texas Hold'em and all that. I wish I did.
We actually got a poker game.
But pool, that man, I picked the game up about 25 years ago. When we lived in Kansas City, Missouri. I was the art director for the Jazz Museum there, and I just went to a place with a partner of mine, and he said, "Dude, you play this game at all?" And I said, "Not really, but I played well enough to really give him a good game." And then, man, I just got the bug, and now, I mean, I played in leagues. I watch pro pool. It's a passion. I'm not gonna lie. So we definitely get together and knock some balls around.
So you're an artist. Do you? I know being an artist of anything, whether you're doing music, art, whatever it is. Did you always have like a creative mind?
Yeah.
Because do you think most artists come from a place of creativity?
I'll say this. As they say, we're very right brain.
Very right brain, right.
I admit that my perspective on things lends itself to my art a lot. It does. Just in how I approach, fashion. You see, I keep it minimal now because I did all of the fashion trends. You know what I mean? I admire seeing what I see now, but it's cool for me to disconnect from it. I wore gray for like a number of years. My ex-wife asked me, why don't you wear a lot of coats? Because I work with coats.
Damn, that's crazy.
You feel me? And it's more clarity for me personally when I'm not the art. You know what I mean? I know a number of artists you see, they dress very eclectically and, and a lot of attention is brought to them. I've never been that way. I've just never been that way. I expend it the other way. I like.
So is your vision something that you see in your head or you just see out and about?
It's like you take on a lot of images. I read a lot of information. I observe a lot. And then I know history. I won't say I know all that, but I really read a lot of historical information. And so you gather your opinion, your positions, and then there's things you want to convey in a way that you're saying it, they hear it, but they don't get it until you feel me? You kind of camouflage it.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's like, some people, I've seen some words and heard some say, I can look at him for 5 minutes and go home and paint a draw or whatever. I'm like, is that kind of your style? Or
it's not if I'm doing an actual portrait of you, I'd like to photograph you myself to get my own photo references, because I'm gonna set up the lighting to make sure it hits you the way I'd like. But in terms of concepting like abstracts and just coming up with real creative imagery. I like doing my research. I'll read a lot of different things that has some connection to it, and then once you do that, it's like stirring the pot. All of a sudden, these creative ideas start just coming down. It just depends on which one you want to roll with.
What do you think about comedic art?
Comedy?
Yeah. Do you consider
that we have
art?
it? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. Richard Pryor was an artist who endured a life, man, you really can't compare to anyone. This guy was brought up in a brothel. His grandmother and mother, his grandmother ran the place, and I think his mom was one of the prostitutes.
Yeah.
Hold on. So again, his mom was a prostitute.
His mom was a prostitute. His grandmother she ran.
She's the madam.
She's the madam.
Yeah.
And his dad was a pimp.
I don't know if I can say
I knew his dad was
watch JoJo dancing.
Yeah, right. It all comes
That's
out
based off his life.
It's based on his life. And you think about all of the hardcore stuff he had to have experienced and seen. Yet he was able to pull from that and a whole lot of other life experiences. Man, some of the most brilliant comedic material we've ever heard.
They say most comedic be some of the most, they see so much pain and see so much stuff, but they got a way of putting it out there and making it comic for other people. But that's their therapy.
That's their therapy. And two, man, you think about it, we draw a number of things from real life experiences.
Exactly.
And so he experienced some serious life. And then Chappelle, both his parents were educators. A lot of people don't know. I mean, he grew up around knowledge all his life.
Yes.
And his parents were very unique in the sense that they saw what he was doing as something real, and they supported. Remember, we talked about now why you may have not quit art. If you had had certain people pushing you.
Right.
When I listen to Chappelle talk about his mom and dad, I'm like, man, I can see why he's this great storyteller, because he got a lot of materials from two brilliant people, But no, man, I think comedy is an art series, and I think very few people can do it. A lot of people can be silly.
Right. You actually just said something. You named two people that I do consider like artists in comedy. Because when I listen to Chappelle, it's like he's painting a canvas, but you won't see the picture until
the end. Right. He can really tell a story. He can he can keep it serious and funny at the same time, which is
time.
brilliant,
Yeah,
man.
that's the gift.
That's a gift, man.
Yeah,
That's a gift.
And I think that's why you like that the other guy.
Well,
The Ali,
Oh, she.
yeah.
Ali.
Talking about Akil Ali,
Yeah,
I know.
Bald head guy.
the bald head guy, the one that says I tell stories.
I know Ali. I forget
Akil,
his name.
He's a great storyteller. Yeah, the one that was locked up in prison. And,
Yeah.
That guy, he does tell a pretty good story.
Messing with boots up. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
He's brilliant. But
To
no,
me,
man,
that's the form of, to me, for comic, is that you can personalize and put your own,
Right,
but you can tell a story, and as you tell your story, you're painting the picture for the, and
Eddie?
it's funny and it's enlightening, so
Eddie the same way. It's a great Netflix deal on him being Eddie. Have you seen it? Oh man,
Yeah, I seen half of it.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's really
need to
good. But
rewatch.
no, comedy is definitely an art, and very few people, for me personally, can really do it. I mean, they're right on, but no, silly's not funny for me.
Right.
In fact, it's kind of annoying. See a lot of silly, man. Very few comics where I go like, Rock's definitely, he will always be one of my favorite comics. Because Rock was just teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock bringing lessons whenever he comes to the table.
I never really got into Rock.
Really?
I mean,
Man,
I think I like his
I always
first
tell
special.
people, if you really want, watch Bigger and Blacker.
Big and Black. That's the first one, right?
Man, when he talks
Another
about the difference between why he loves him some black people, but he
And why
can't
he can't
stand them
stand
niggas.
Oh yeah.
That's
I made my
that's
8-year-old sit down and watch it with me because I wanted him to hear what he was saying, like, especially when he said like about the education part. He said, you can have a degree, you just got my degree. And he said, one of your boys be like, yeah, but can you kick my ass?
Yeah.
It's
That's the only setup that he ever had that I like.
Really, yeah. I mean, but he
The
was
rest of
teaching.
them,
He was teaching.
Yeah.
He was dropping knowledge, and what I correlated it to my son. I mean, like, it's about doing good things, as opposed to countering it with stupidity, man. One of the saddest things I ever saw, man. Somebody posted on Facebook. This was a while back, where this young cat was sitting. He had his book bag, and 4 or 5 of the cats around him, they had just beat this guy up. School kid, his schoolmate. And when I read why, man, I went, what? They beat this kid up because he had straight A's.
Wow.
His class, he had straight A's, and he got beat up because he had good grades.
Damn.
And I remember, because my son grew up with straight A's. I mean, but I instilled too much in him for that to be an issue. But it made me know that, they had been taught. I just tried to put together the juxtaposition of how they found that to be something to do. You feel
I
me?
think you have more street knowledge and stuff.
It's definitely that. But man, that really.
And for some reason, we have a reverse concept of bad is cool, and good is not cool.
Yeah, that to speak correctly. It's like you're perpetrating a fraud as if we never spoke correctly.
Right. And you're not black.
And you're not black if you speak the language correctly.
Trey, you can attest to this. Like, I'm not sure how old you are, but coming up, if you actually had specific classes and things, you spoke a certain way.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to sound white?
Why are you trying to sound white?
I'm not trying to sound white.
It's like
Can I sound educated like I am?
Man, I grew up in a household. My mom said, I know my kids are in school. She'll say that if you broke a verb in our house, I know my kids are in school. I know my kids go to school. She didn't play that, man. You had to speak it correctly or you got checked. Yeah.
I meant to call you, Eric.
Yeah, my mom didn't play,
I meant to
man.
call
She
you the other
did.
day. I found myself saying something like, is that actually a word?
What?
I forgot what it was. It was some video or something I looked at.
Somebody said something?
Matter of fact, the new Netflix about the puppy thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, and I caught myself after I said it. I said, if I was Craig Mack, I'd have whooped the hell out of it. I said, what is out of a word? As opposed to saying I would have. I said out of.
Man, that's
Idle.
idle.
Like out of. I would have.
Yeah,
Beat the
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, did I just say that?
It's a colloquialism.
Yeah.
We have plenty of them, man. One of my favorite ones is one of Pac's. No, I mean, nah, I mean.
Nah,
You know what I mean? Nah, I mean. I love that, man.
Yeah, know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. I mean, I like language, man. I like the fact that we're able to do both. You know, we live in a dual society. I don't speak the same way I do with my brothers in certain business settings, because I won't say that of anything other than I know I would be more effective speaking according to the business setting in that setting.
Yeah.
But when I'm with my brothers in a certain setting, I'm not gonna come to them speaking to them like we do in a business merger.
Right,
I'm gonna speak to them with some heart, you know, because we come in like men. It's a duality, unfortunately, that we absolutely have to exist in order to navigate this game, because.
And you have people who
That's
actually
what it
think that if you're conducting business,
Right.
and you're,
Speaking
you're speaking correctly. Because
right.
first of all, you want whoever you're talking to feel comfortable. You
Absolutely.
don't want nobody to feel, and it doesn't matter about what color they are.
No,
but
it's
if
just
you're speaking
business.
yeah, it's business.
This is just business.
But
right.
when you're around, let's say your kin folks or your brother
right.
stuff, you're gonna speak
gonna
differently.
speak a completely
because
different
that's
way.
what you
Right.
People will see you as he's a sellout.
Oh,
He's this, that, and other, and people don't realize, man, this is my business. This is what I do.
I learned a long time ago that kind, and it's ignorance. You can't take it personal because it's just going to be said. Get done what you need to get done.
Yeah,
I tell my son, because my son speaks like my ex-wife and I do. I mean, we taught him to speak correctly. I want to say correctly, to speak the language the way it was written to speak.
Yeah.
And to be effective in the way you communicate to people. But man, I communicate probably 4 or 5 different ways, just depending on the setting. You know what I mean? Man. I mean, you bring it the way they say you meet them where they are.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
but I never got caught up in that language thing. I appreciate my mom making sure that we knew to speak the language, learn to speak the language the way it's supposed to be speaking. And when you want to twist it around, when you need to, you do so, man.
I feel like most people got more versions of them. They just ain't tapped into.
They won't tap
It's
into
just
it.
different. I'm not changed. This is the version I am in this setting. This is the version I am.
I think we really get caught up in how people interpret us. We're so worried about, man, I, as I've grown, you asked me earlier, I'm 60. Yeah, I turned 60 November 15th.
Active,
And I tell you, man, I lost so much sleep in college, I didn't expect to live to see 40. I tell my son that all the time.
Well, hold on. Let's jump into it real quick because this is stuff we talked about. I want to get into, man.
Sure.
You said less sleep. I heard a lot of people say the less sleep they get, the more energized they are.
I'll be honest with you, man.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people say that too.
With the exception of COVID, because that's the most sleep I had ever, it would be like 5 hours settings. I've never slept 8 hours in my life, except during COVID. COVID, man, I never slept that much. That was my symptom. I didn't have no cold symptoms or anything, just fatigue. Man, I've never been that tired in my life.
Well, I ain't gonna lie, I done slept over 8 hours.
Yeah.
It wasn't due to tired.
It wasn't due to tired, no. No, I'm just saying, that was the only time, but no, you about to ask me in terms of college?
Well, yeah, damn. We was talking the last time, man. You've had a very active life.
I've been really blessed. Like I said, my talents have taken me to different places. I've been able to see the fruit of my work. Right. I'm very proud of the work that I have in Memphis. And I work outside of the state, but in the country and some outside of the country. But the work that I have here in Memphis in particular, the Claiborne Temple project. I was very proud to do the stained glass windows. Right. That was a competition that I went after with this. I might not win, but whoever gets it, they're gonna have to bring it. Yeah, Right. And I did all my research. It was really, man, serendipitous is I had a brother give me a book on the march 30 years ago. which ended up being my main reference for the images that I used in the window designs. It was a project that I look forward to because we were honoring our own. You know, like when I learned the portraits that I was doing, one of my favorite ones was Reverend James Lawson. A lot of people don't know who this guy is. But he was the one who taught Dr. King the nonviolent tenets that he had picked up from Mahatma Gandhi. He met with Gandhi and the sit-in movement. That was James Lawson. Those were his teachings. So when I learned his was one of the portraits I was doing, plus Maxine Smith, y'all know. Y'all know. Cornelia Crenshaw, T.O. Jones, he was the labor union head who actually called Dr. King and asked him to come here. And then one other young man who was 15 years old, a cat named Larry Payne, who was killed by a cop a week before Dr. King. He's at the grocery store. Cop shot him with point blank range, but he shot him with a sawed-off shotgun, killed him. And they included that martyrdom with Dr. King during that time. They coupled him in. And just learning that, man, I was very proud to almost, in some sense, canonize them. Because if your life's work is about peace, justice, love, and all those things that we really are supposed to be about, how on earth are you not a saint? You feel me? Now, Dr. King, just like any other human being, we suffer the frailties of being human. So we're gonna fall short, but his entire life was about those words. Peace, justice, love, and as far as I'm concerned, he should have sainthood.
So when you say that, you actually think you can make progress without violence?
Come again?
Like in the words that you were just speaking about, Dr. King.
Yeah.
In some subsidies, do you actually think people can make progress without violence?
No, I didn't say that was the case. I'm saying that really were those really were the tenets in which he lived. How do I put this? You know.
In other words, I'm saying, well.
No, when I say no, the progress that we made in this country was really unveiling the truth about the lies that were told. You feel me? Meaning, like, a lot of what was turned around had very little to do with us being violent. Because our violence was seriously just countering the violence that was being perpetrated to us. We were protecting ourselves. You have the inalienable right to do that. Right. You know, that's why I definitely would have rolled with Malcolm on that.
I was just for this. Look, I want to say that so bad because I'm a firm believer in what Malcolm's teaching was. So, because my thing is, you hit me, you expect me not to hit you back.
No, I don't know that I could have done the sit-in movements personally. I absolutely appreciate the sacrifice that were made, even though I didn't agree with a lot of the tenets, the way that because I don't feel you have the right to strike me and I don't have the right to strike you back. Yes. And I don't mean just in protect, I mean to strike you back. Yeah, I really believe in protecting myself in that sense. But the nonviolent tenets showed them in the light that you feel me? He flipped the script, meaning they used television to show that the violent perpetrators were the ones. There you go. So, but no, I don't agree that. You know, it is. I'll just say this: these were some very brave people. I don't know that I have it in me to endure that personally. And to not strike back. In fact, I'll just be honest. I know I don't. I don't have that capacity.
But it took to a point where it's like I forget the character name, but you could take so much. You ever got to a point where you just can't take so much and you have to fight back?
Man, dude.
But do you have to use violence to fight back?
We didn't. That's the thing. We didn't. And had we, and I was with Dr. King, we didn't have the numbers. We don't have the weaponry. If you think about, I think about this, the accounts of race riots, what they call them in history, but even now, in fact, the one here, the marker that was placed here, they're going back and they're correcting them. They were race massacres.
Right.
We were never, we never had the armory, the numbers to fight groups of whites who had all the guns. Who, you feel me? Memphis had a major massacre here. Women were raped, pillaged. I forgot, they said it was like 300 to 500 people were killed. You believe those numbers? I know.
It got to be more. Yeah, that was like a block west of the exchange
But
on 7th Street.
hold on, let me ask you this though, before I forget. All right, because nowadays we hear so much about, well, not even here. I've been knew that most of what we see is not even true in the first place. Like we learn ain't true.
Absolutely.
My question to you is, Martin Luther King was born in like what, the 30s, late 30s, right?
Right.
Died in the 60s. So he was born and grew up watching a lot of the stuff where white people used to do
Blatant,
black people.
overt. Right, yeah.
In my belief, I believe that he was infiltrated by white people with this whole peace doctrine. Because I just can't bring myself to think that he was just so much about peace, and I ain't gonna say ignoring, but you don't. I can't fight the violence that I see from white people with this peace thing to black people, seeing how pissed off black people are.
I'll say this. I think because in his last book, a lot of people don't know, he wrote about the fact that he realized that he was marrying his people into a burning house.
Right.
That he peeped the whole picture like, man, this is just not going to work for us.
Right.
It's not, because their hearts are never going to change. So much so till he succumbed. I mean, he was assassinated. I'll say this. I believe that love is stronger than hate.
I do too.
I think it is the most powerful weapon, not to mention the most powerful spirit on earth. It's love. I really do believe. However, don't get me wrong. Tough love is real.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta slap a nigga around.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. Yeah, man. How do I put this? I can't count the number of times that I had to physically protect myself, okay, through my life experience. But, I look back on those experiences and I don't feel like I sacrificed my spirit. Some things you can't leave unsolved. You have to step to and what they say, take care of your business. And then when I had to, I did. And I didn't, don't get me wrong, I didn't go looking for that. I had no chip on my shoulder about that, but I have self-respect.
Be honest though, where we get this turn the other cheek stuff from?
Oh man, that definitely came from our enemy. If I can get you to put your weaponry down while I'm standing holding weaponry at you, that's some propaganda, man. That's just like they took the Bibles over there and then they brought the guns.
Right.
Right. First the missionaries, then the mercenaries.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to me, my belief is that there's a reason why we had to have a Malcolm along with this. Because
and that
you
was
speaking all this, and don't get me wrong, like you just said, love is the greatest, the most
powerful.
Strong, But no, because everybody wasn't with that, and you had to have Malcolm to say, that sounds all good.
That's good, but
no.
Just in case.
Yeah.
It's like a lot. I just started reading about the deacons, the guys who were carrying guns protecting the civil rights movement, workers back then. Yeah, a lot of people don't know about these cats.
They're called deacons?
The deacons. Oh. Yeah, they were a military faction, meaning they carried, this was pre-Panther. These were brothers who were the deacons of the church. They were the protectors of those civil rights workers during that time. And I didn't know anything about these cats, but no, those are the cats that I would have rolled with. And I never bought into the idea that we were supposed to experience this. I mean that. What happens between these two shores really is a bunch of propaganda. It propagandized us to be a minority, and when we're a global majority, it propagandized us to be inferior on so many levels, man, which is insane. Think about that. I just thought about that movie, Hidden Figures. You remember that movie?
I've never watched it.
You never watched it? It's worth the watch simply because visually it shows you so much propaganda.
Yeah.
First of all, man, one of the truths that came out in it is there would be absolutely no space travel whatsoever if it wasn't for the math of a black woman. Okay, black woman, I'm just gonna give her the credit.
Right.
No one could do the math she did but her. And her math is what allowed space travel to happen. So why isn't her name synonymous with space? These are the kinds of things that I think we let slide for ourselves in terms of claiming that there's a black.
But we gotta know it though, right?
Well, I agree with you. That was the whole deal when I say our education was just a joke in terms of our history.
So at that point, do you think some education can be stolen and twisted as opposed to the talk?
And the Bible's full of it. Okay, I'm just being honest. It has. I mean, it was distorted. You think about who wrote it, and the interpretations and how it can be used to manipulate a certain group. I mean, the Bible was certainly used to manipulate this whole thing. But no, man. I don't believe that our matriculation in this country would have taken place if we just remained totally nonviolent. No, the Panthers were necessary. Malcolm was necessary. They're called deterrents. We can't just position ourselves to just be dormant and complacent and victims. No, I'm about picking up and fighting for mine. I am. I always have been.
How would you compare the two? Because I saw something else a couple of days ago when people talking about overseers, excuse me, was the first law enforcement.
What?
I'm like, how can you compare law enforcement to an overseer?
Because it's like they were never about policing themselves.
Right.
Okay. The police, that whole idea was about telling us what to do. They didn't tell themselves what to do. I mean, they had arguments, but they could tell you what, you feel me? It was an order for us. So yeah, those slave patrols, those overseers, that was the basis of the police system in this country. And that's a known fact. And that's why those same tenets, that's why the Klan, you think about this, man. We know the Klan committed a number of violent acts back during that time. Not to mention they still do, but I'm just saying that it is still on record, as far as I know, a tax-exempt religious group. Yeah, I mean they still have tax exemption, and this is a terrorist group, literally.
Basically.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying, like, how can you? I don't get it, because if I'm not policing me, that means I'm not laying down a law. So how can you attach the word law enforcement to an overseer that's not enforcing law directly across the board?
No, like I said, it was never about policing themselves. It was
not
always about us. Yeah, that was
It was
always.
never being fair.
Even the Constitution talks about. You remember we had the podcast and we had the white guy on Max, and he was saying that us, we are the people. But if you go down a few paragraphs, it talks about how the Indians, the Native Americans, were savages.
They called them, savages. Yeah.
So the concept of we the people, or we all was created equal
Was
as
never.
men, they didn't even consider us men.
Yeah.
And that in itself is such a fallacy, because I really could care less about somebody I know that hates me and has inherently hate me. Your definition of me really has no relevancy whatsoever. In fact, I don't really care what you think of me. I'm there, man. I stopped caring about, and I don't want you to think that I'm making this as a blanket statement about white people, because I don't buy that at all.
Right.
I know a number of white folk who know better, who sat on the same side of this as we do. However, the ones that choose to buy into this propaganda and just the lies, I just don't spend my time languishing in that. The ones who I can move forward with, that's those, but I spend a lot of time in blackness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just being honest with you. Most of my work, I'd say 90% of my work has been around black images, black people, black thought, and that's on purpose,
Right.
because of all of the distortions I see, the propaganda I see, the damage that I see. I want my work to act as a balm to try to heal some of what I see.
So what you think about black people getting involved with politics?
I think, look, we're in the country. We're a part of this, whether we want to be or not. We're here. I'll say this, no matter how involved we get in politics, the construct is set up so that we can only be so effective in politics here. You feel me? That's just the truth.
Right.
Barack Obama was the president of the United States. Look at how less we benefited from that in terms of specificity. And I'm not to say, and I don't want you to think I'm dumping on Obama. It's just that specifically, there were a number of things that could have been done that weren't even considered. And that was disappointing for me personally. But at the same time, I look at the whole picture and I knew structurally there was a lot he wouldn't be able to do no matter what. But I'll say this about his presidency. He had, as far as I know, 0 indictments. He was just there to do his job. He kept a lot of the status quo, which you can't deny. But man, I look at the political game now. I mean,
It looks
man, it's like
entertainment to me, man.
so like blackness is a crime again.
I was about to ask you that what you spoke on a couple of minutes ago. Why do some consider black love equivalent to white hate?
Wow.
Reverse racism.
Yeah, I think that's insane, and I'm with you. I was at a restaurant. A friend of mine brought this to my attention. I didn't realize it, but I said, "Man, I just feel so pro-black now." I said, "I'm not anti anything, but I just feel like it is my responsibility with all of the things we're being attacked by, is to be as pro underwriting black as I've ever been in my life now, and it's not dumping on anybody. It's not white hate. It's self-love."
But that's, and I don't mean to cut you off.
Sure.
But right there, that's when we become apologetic for being black. When we keep saying, why do we have to keep saying, and I don't mean to dump on nobody else. Why we gotta keep saying
I don't say that.
You just
Did I say that?
That's what I'm saying. Unconsciously, we say
Okay.
just so that we can make sure I ain't racist. I ain't on. I fuck with
Oh, okay. What? Okay, you're right. I did say that. Well, let me correct this. I don't want it to be interpreted that it's white hate. However, don't get me wrong. That lends itself to who interprets it, because a lot of times, no matter how you convey it, people interpret the way they want to interpret it.
But is that important?
But
Like-
no, it's not. It's not
Like,
to me.
is interpreting something I said so important that I have to address it to everybody that interpreted it the wrong way?
Actually, you make a good point. We shouldn't.
Right.
We shouldn't. In fact, that should be irrelevant. Your love of self doesn't have to qualify
Yeah, it
itself
doesn't have to
to
be
anybody.
validated
Yeah,
to
it doesn't
it.
have to be validated to anybody.
No.
Our embracing of our blackness, hell, back in the 60s, it was survival.
Right.
You know, you better love yourself. You better be about your brother, because no matter how you put it, you all are looked at together. You feel me? And that's still the same now, even though a number of brothers and sisters don't work with each other for all kinds of reasons. we will always be lumped in the same basket as structurally as how this is set up. A black man is a black man in America.
Right, but I see it more or less like it used to be, if you black, I'm black, we together regardless. Now it's about the idea.
Yeah.
If you're black, if you don't think like us, then you're not with us.
Yeah.
It's about the thought now.
The thought now.
Like,
yeah.
You know, I don't see you as black until I listen to what you're talking about, and then we can.
Yeah, they say, all your skin ain't your kin.
Yeah.
I had my brother tell me, he said, all my skin aren't my kin, but I'm kin to all my skin.
Okay.
You get
Basically, I got your back, you got me.
He said, no matter what, I'm still about my skin.
Right.
Yeah, I'm still kin to my skin, meaning that they might not be. His whole thing was, they might not feel connected to me because of my blackness, but I know I'm connected to them because.
So just say, for instance, that if you did see something like personal, like the attacks that was on blacks then, like you said, you got your brother's back. If you walked upon it, would you go over there and help him?
Me
or
personally?
just walk away?
No, I'm going over. I know me. I'm going over. Yeah, I couldn't have watched Derek Chauvin.
Yeah.
I couldn't have watched that. I couldn't have watched that. They would have had to stop me. I'm just being honest, you know. And that ain't me trying to perpetrate. Like, no. There's some things that we are responsible for stepping up on, and this has nothing to do. This is humanity. That's like watching my son. I know I couldn't watch my son perish that way.
No.
Yeah. So I think there was a time when we were connected that way. Like I said, when we knew we're connected, no matter what.
I think in a sense we still are. Like if somebody come in and call somebody else a nigga, even though they weren't talking to me, they was talking to me.
You talking?
I'm gonna get offended. Absolutely. And we all finna be. You finna get it.
We finna address this, right? So,
but you know, I think personally, I think that it's thematic from back, and this is my belief that it's thematic from slavery. You know, it was always a separation amongst us, and they instilled it into. Called the crab effect, I guess. You know, blacks have always been trying to pull another black down because that's to me how they infiltrate with us.
Yeah, Willie Lynch.
Yeah, there you go. So to me, it's still a systemic in our heads to a sense where that's why we divide it. Whereas, you know, you can go, and I'm not trying to make this whole race thing, but you can go into certain, you don't hear white people saying certain things about themselves or whatever. Mexicans, a whole household can live in one house because they haven't dealt with some of the things that we have dealt as a culture, and we don't have a culture really.
Yeah, well,
so
we
had one, but we have been so lost because we're over in the United States of America.
It was too many people included and brought in the culture and claimed the culture.
And you know, but guess who? For me, I think that we are so willing to take in people. See, black people are not. They make us feel like we're violent. Black people are so willing to take in and be accepted and all this, that, and other. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we lost ourselves.
We definitely
lost
have
ourselves.
We definitely done that. I really feel like I was reading what a guy talking about how we just will invite anybody to the picnic just based on any little whimsical thing we see. You know, they can dance. Yeah, they can dance, or he can play a saxophone. You feel me? He said, you know, he doesn't play like he was just saying, I don't roll like that at all because I take what we have too serious and who we are too serious, and to know that our experience in this country is unlike any other so-called minority group. And we're responsible. And I say, this is what really gets me, man, is there would be no other minority group in this country operating if it were not for the sacrifices that we endured. And I didn't say we signed up for it, because we didn't. But the price we paid enabled the immigration bill. A lot of people don't know that. The immigration bill rode in on the shoulders of the civil rights bill. Okay, so all these immigrants that we see in the country, people of color that aren't African American, they benefit from the work, the sacrifices the deaths toll that we endured in this country. And we don't get any credit for that.
Because I think even before that, because you asked me, the so-called founders and discoverers, they were illegal immigrants. So how can you punish yourself but make it sound like I'm punishing someone else?
I look at it like holistically, like you have this group who came up with this idea, we're gonna put together this exercise between these two shores where one group will benefit from the expense of every other group. That's really how I look at America. And it's not, for me, that's just what I see. Resources, that's what I see at the expense of all the other groups. This one group is held up. And, that design, it is certainly capitalism, because capitalism by capital. It doesn't.
Would you want to be? Would you want to be anywhere else other than here?
There's some places where I feel, you could live fine if your if your quality of life is different, if you value certain things more than the material things because this country is abundantly material.
Right.
Okay. Capital. So I can see myself in St. Kitts drinking, eating plantains and drinking. But you hear this. What is that? What was the term? It's like this is the best thing going, even though it's like the bottom on the list. You feel me? Like democracy. It's like what they say. It's not the best thing, but it's the best thing in terms of government. You feel me?
Right.
I don't know that. Now I'll say this. I know we're not living in a true democracy here. We barely are living in a republic.
Of course.
Yeah, right. And I mean barely. Now, and I don't know what's going on in government now. I don't even know what you would really categorize this as right now.
I don't know. If they muzzle us and tell us we have freedom of speech, but then
you don't
turn around and say,
then you don't, and then you see lawlessness in ways we've never seen, and you're seeing the media normalize it. They talk about it normally. You're like, there's no normal to the things that we witnessed just over this last 6 months. I'm blown away, man, at the fact that you can blow people up now with no due process whatsoever. And, I'm watching this stuff that's happening down in the water. I'm just shaking my head like
About the boat.
about the boats that they're blowing up down. I'm going like, I know that we have a Coast Guard,
Right.
and I know that the procedure always was to apprehend, seize, because they would always get the dope, But this new thing is we just blow them up now. And then to learn that this boat wasn't even headed to the United States. Did y'all know that?
Yeah.
This one wasn't even.
I didn't hear that part. But
I just learned that today, that it was actually on its way to another dock for a bigger boat, to put what they had on a bigger boat.
Yeah.
So they say.
Yeah.
I just know that, man, you can't institute a policy of we destroyed them because they were bringing drugs up on our shores when drugs are being walked in from Canada and walked in from Mexico.
Right.
So you're not killing Canadians, you're not killing Mexicans, so you can't say that's the new policy of the United States.